Okay, my latest rescued books. John Locke Selections. I already have several copies of his second treatise on government. His first treatise on government was about religion, and that's less important and less enduring a subject than his second treatise on government, which was the foundation for the American Constitution. But this has some selections from other essays and stuff. So, for $1, it's a cute little binding, published in 29 or 32 or something. It's kind of an old book. 28. And I thought that's worth having around. It's fine to have his seminal work, Second Treatise, but what about some extra essays? A History of Spain and Portugal by William C. Atkinson, published in 1960, reprinted 65. This is part of my small but growing library on the history of Spain, which I wanted to know more about. After all, it did influence half of the New World, and to this day they have a Spanish culture, not an Anglo-Saxon culture. And someday I hope to read more about that. The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, Mark Twain, growing number of volumes of that, probably 4 or 5 of them now. The Aztec Man and Tribe, Victor W. von Hagen. This is published in the 50s or 60s. 58. I almost didn't buy this, but for 50 cents, I thought someday if I have the desire to read about the Aztecs, or if some kid in my school is curious about them, or if I want to teach kids about them, I'll just be able to grab this off the shelf and leaf through it and read a few chapters or whatever. For 50 cents, I couldn't resist. Euripides, 3 plays, Medea, Hecaba, Electra, Heracles, 4 plays, sorry. And Charles Darwin, The Origin of Species, 50 cents. Now, of course, I have a copy of this, but it's in Utah, unfortunately. I think this will be a good read. As Leonard Peikoff said, you should read original stuff. It's one thing to read about, the stuff, Richard Dawkins and whoever, but it's another thing to read in the original for yourself. And if you're interested in the subject and trying to become educated, you should read original work. America, The Last Best Hope by William J. Bennett. I'm not familiar with what else Bennett has written, but I'm afraid that he's religious. I'm very afraid that he's religious. This is volume 1 from 1492 to 1914. So that, I hope, will be a good book. I hope it's not too heavily influenced by his mysticism. Certainly the table of contents and stuff look fantastic. This is a crazy one. This next book goes to show, I don't know what it goes to show, but here's the thing. I was skeptical about going to the bookstore this day. I had to go do banking. My wife and I have different bank accounts, and when we have to make payments from hers, I have to go put money into hers, or vice versa sometimes. There's always some juggling going on. And on this day, I thought, I'm probably not going to go to the bookstore. I'm just going to pass it by, forget about it, not worry about it, because I just couldn't imagine what book there would be that would grab me. I thought I'll probably find something, but I just didn't have any real motivation. But I went anyways. And what do you know? I found some great books, the ones I've just gone over here, and The Mother Tongue, English and How It Got That Way. A book about English. This is 9/9s would love that. She's into linguistics or whatever, or etymology or the study of languages. This is by Bill Bryson, author of The Lost Continent, published, looks like in the 70s or 80s maybe, 1990. That, I think, will be a good book. Now, everyone knows English is a Germanic language, but the problem is about half the words in English are from the Romance languages, from Latin. So, is it a Germanic language or not? A Study of History by Arnold Toynbee. I'm ashamed to say I didn't have any books of Toynbee's on my shelf, and I'm not familiar with him. His preface by the author here is signed in 1946. And in my mind, Toynbee was from an earlier era. I do not know much about him. I didn't have any books by him. Isn't that a shame? You thought Mr. Cropper was educated. He knows nothing about Arnold Toynbee. The Teamsters by Stephen Brill. A history of their relations with dirty money. This book provides the never-reported facts about the Hoffa murder and tells the whole story of the Union's alliance with organized crime. Yeah, did you know that? Organized crime, they were like the bank for organized crime. The mob needed money to do this or that, and they would borrow it from the Teamsters Union. Just more evidence that unions should not be enforced by law, as if we didn't know that already. All right, here's an interesting book by C.F. Young, and I saw it and I thought it couldn't be. That couldn't be what it's about, It couldn't be. This published in 1933. It's simply called The Medici, or Medici. The Medici. However you want to pronounce it. I think it's supposed to be Medici. People have told me, but I'm terrible about that sort of thing. I thought, could that be about the Medici family? And it is. And in the introduction, the author says, well, you can get a serviceable history of some of the lives of the Medici and some of the periods in Florence or whatever, but the family itself from beginning to end has never been presented. So that's what I've tried to do. And I got it for $1. I don't know if I'll ever get around to reading it, but I would like to. You know, it was a Medici prince who put... who was the guy who wrote The Prince? Machiavelli. Put him in prison. The Medici family did. Okay, this one is a find. This, again, is on the day I thought I'm just lethargic. I didn't want to stop at the bookstore, but I did. I found this. Good God, it's good that I went that day because someone else would have got it if they would have seen it first. Enormous, beautiful, thick tome here. The Complete Roman Drama. This is actually volume 1 of 2 volumes, but it has stuff from Plautus, Terence, and Seneca. Not a lot going on in the Roman literary scene, and everything that they did produce is definitely secondary or tertiary to Greek plays. But if you can get the collected Roman drama in 2 volumes, you can get one of the volumes for $1. Don't pass it up. Last, and probably not least, The War of 1812 by Harry Coles, from the Chicago History of American Civilization, edited by Daniel J. Boorstin. I know Boorstin well, I've read some of his books. From the back cover, out of the middle of their blurb. This is the best single-volume account of the war in all of its aspects. In recounting sea battles, Coles puts aside the patriotic blinders that have for so long prevented a sensible understanding of American capabilities and strategic necessities. Thus, American naval victories are put in proper perspective, and in dealing with land engagements, he has shunned the mocking and amused attitude which so often passed for historical judgments. Undergraduates will be stimulated by the hints of modern parallels and will find useful the excellent annotated bibliographical simple maps. Bibliography and simple maps. So that'll be pretty good someday. I'm building up quite a hefty group of books on the United States of America, history of America, and I didn't feel I could study America originally. I felt that Greece and Rome needed to come first. But I know more and more about those, and the study of the Renaissance is part of my retinue at this time, and it's going to be America at some point that I'll be studying, and I can't wait for that. I'm building up my library and getting ready.